February 1861. A single Apache warrior stands at the entrance of Apache Pass. Behind him, his family. Before him, 60 United States Army soldiers with rifles aimed at his chest. The lieutenant demands surrender. The warrior's name was Cochise. And what happened next would ignite a war that would last 11 years, claim thousands of lives, and force the most powerful military on Earth to negotiate peace on his terms. This is the story of a man who became a legend, a leader who transformed from peaceful diplomat to feared warrior, a chief whose tactical genius made U.S. generals tremble. But before Cochise became the name whispered in terror across the Southwest, he was a father, a husband, a man who wanted nothing more than peace. In the next 30 minutes, you'll discover the true story of Cochise, the betrayal that broke him, the war that defined him, and the legacy that changed America forever. This isn't just history. This is the story of what happens when honor meets injustice, when family meets tragedy, and when one man's courage reshapes a nation. This is Cochise. Born around 1805 in the Dragoon Mountains of what we now call Arizona, Cochise, pronounced Cochise, meaning hardwood in Apache, grew up in a world of balance. The Chiricahua Apache had roamed these lands for centuries. They were not conquerors, they were survivors, hunters, warriors when necessary, but above all, they were people of honor, family, and character. Cochise was tall, over 6 feet, rare for Apache men, with piercing dark eyes and a presence that commanded respect without demanding it. By his 30s, he married Dostese, daughter of the legendary chief Mangas Coloradas. Together, they built a family, 2 sons, a daughter, a life rooted in tradition, wisdom, and the rugged beauty of the Southwest. The Treaty Period. For years, Cochise maintained peace with white settlers. He protected stagecoach routes through Apache Pass. He traded honestly. He kept his word. American officers described him as intelligent, trustworthy, and a man of his word. In 1858, he even signed agreements allowing safe passage through Apache territory. Cochise believed in coexistence. Cochise believed that honor would be returned with honor. He was wrong. January 1861. A rancher named John Ward reports that Apaches raided his ranch and kidnapped his stepson, Felix. The boy was actually the rancher's wife's son from a previous relationship with a Mexican man, complications that would prove deadly. Ward demands action. The Army sends Lieutenant George Bascom, young, inexperienced, and eager to prove himself, to Apache Pass with 54 soldiers. His orders: recover the boy. His method: treachery.
The Trap. February 4th, 1861. Bascom invites Cochise to his tent under a white flag of peace. Cochise arrives with his brother, 2 nephews, a woman, and 2 children, bringing family because he trusts the meeting is peaceful. Inside the tent, over coffee, Bascom accuses Cochise of kidnapping the Ward boy. Cochise denies it, because it's true. He didn't do it. It was a different Apache band, the Coyoteros. Cochise even offers to help find the boy. Bascom's response? He orders Cochise arrested, declares all of them prisoners. The betrayal was complete. In that instant, Cochise makes a choice. He draws his knife, slashes through the canvas tent wall, and runs. Soldiers fire. Bullets tear through the air. One strikes him. He keeps running, through the chaos, through the pain. He reaches the rocks, the mountains, freedom. But his family, his brother, his nephews, the woman and children, they're still prisoners. And in that moment, running through the desert with blood on his shirt and rage in his heart, Cochise transforms. The peacekeeper dies. The warrior is born. Cochise immediately captures 3 Americans as hostages. He offers an exchange, his family for the captives. Bascom refuses. Cochise captures more hostages. Bascom still refuses. Then, reinforcements arrive with Mangas Colorados, Cochise's father-in-law. They try negotiation again. Bascom refuses again. On February 19th, Cochise finds his brother and nephews hanged, their bodies swinging from oak trees near Apache Pass. Something breaks inside him that can never be repaired. That day, the hostages are killed in retaliation, and the Apache Wars ignite. The Declaration. Cochise doesn't just declare war, he becomes war itself. Within weeks, Apache Pass, once safe under his protection, becomes a death trap. Stagecoaches are ambushed, settlements are raided, mining camps are attacked. Cochise strikes with precision and vanishes like smoke. His message is clear. You hanged my family under a flag of peace. Now there will be no peace. Tactical genius. But Cochise isn't reckless. He's brilliant. He uses the terrain like a weapon. Mountains, canyons, hidden springs only the Apache know. He employs guerrilla tactics decades before the term becomes common. Hit-and-run raids, ambushes, psychological warfare. His warriors strike at dawn, disappear by noon. American soldiers, weighed down by equipment and bureaucracy, chase ghosts through the desert. Cochise reads the land, reads his enemies, and stays 3 steps ahead. Newspapers begin calling him the Apache Napoleon. Soldiers call him something else, invincible.
The Civil War advantage. Then, in April 1861, Confederate forces fire on Fort Sumter. The American Civil War begins. Federal troops withdraw from the Southwest to fight in the East. For Cochise, this is opportunity. With fewer soldiers to oppose him, he and Mangas Coloradas coordinate attacks across Arizona and New Mexico. For 2 years, they effectively control vast territories. Supply lines collapse, settlements are abandoned, the Southwest bleeds. And Cochise is just getting started. July 1862. Brigadier General James Carleton leads the California Column, 2,000 Union troops marching east through Arizona to reinforce New Mexico against Confederate forces. Their route? Through Apache Pass. Cochise knows they're coming. He has 500 to 700 warriors positioned in the rocks above the pass. It's the perfect ambush, and this time he's ready to make a statement.
The Battle. July 15th. Captain Thomas Roberts leads 126 men of Company E through the pass. Suddenly, arrows, rifle fire. Warriors emerge from the rocks like avenging spirits. Roberts' men scramble for cover. The Apache attack is ferocious, coordinated, overwhelming. But Roberts has something Cochise has never faced before: howitzer cannons. The first cannon fires. The explosive shell detonates among the rocks. Warriors scatter. They've never experienced artillery. Another shell. Another. The guns that shoot twice, once when fired, once when the shell explodes, turn the tide. After hours of fighting, Cochise withdraws. The army claims victory, but they suffered casualties and learned a harsh lesson. Cochise could have killed them all, if not for those cannons. The Battle of Apache Pass is a tactical setback, but a strategic revelation. Cochise learns. He adapts. He avoids direct confrontations with large military units and returns to guerrilla warfare. Over the next months, his raids intensify. But the Army also learns. They build Fort Bowie right in Apache Pass, a permanent military presence. The war enters a new phase, longer, bloodier, more personal, and Cochise becomes even more determined. 1863 through 1869, 7 years of unrelenting conflict. Cochise strikes ranches, wagon trains, military patrols. He loses warriors. The army loses soldiers. Civilians on both sides die. The Southwest becomes a landscape of fear. Women and children on isolated ranches live in terror. Apache families hide in mountain strongholds, always moving, always hunted. There are no winners here, only survivors. 1863. Mongus Coloradus, Cochise's father-in-law and greatest ally, is lured into a meeting with U.S. troops under a flag of truce. He's captured, tortured with heated bayonets, then murdered, shot while trying to escape. His body is decapitated, his head sent east for scientific study. For Cochise, it's the Bascom affair all over again, another betrayal, another family member murdered under promises of peace. Any hope for reconciliation dies with Mongus Coloradus. The toll. By the late 1860s, Cochise is in his 60s. The war has aged him. His people are exhausted, scattered, hungry. The army has better weapons, more men, and unlimited resources. Cochise knows the mathematics of war. Time is not on his side. But he also knows something else. He's cost the United States millions of dollars, hundreds of lives, and nearly a decade of chaos. He's proven that the Apache cannot be conquered by force, and that gives him leverage. 1867. A man named Thomas Jeffords, enters the story. He's a stagecoach superintendent, tall, red-bearded, and frustrated that his mail riders keep getting killed in Apache territory. So Jeffords does something nobody else has dared. He rides alone into Cochise's stronghold in the Dragoon Mountains, unarmed. He asks for a meeting. He's either the bravest man in Arizona or the craziest.
Building trust. Cochise could have killed him instantly. Instead, intrigued by Jeffords' courage, he talks. Jeffords doesn't lie. He doesn't make false promises. He simply says, "I want safe passage for my mail riders. What do you want?" Cochise respects this honesty. Over months, then years, they meet again and again. They share meals. They learn each other's languages. Jeffords learns Apache customs. Cochise learns Jeffords' word is good. Against all odds, they become friends, true friends, and Jeffords begins to believe that peace might be possible. The opening. By 1871, Jeffords has become Cochise's trusted intermediary. He tells military officials, Cochise will negotiate, but not with soldiers, not with politicians who lie. He'll negotiate with someone he can trust. The government, desperate to end the costly war, listens. They send General Oliver Otis Howard, a one-armed Civil War veteran known for honoring his commitments and treating Native peoples with respect. The stage is set for a historic meeting. September 1872. General Howard, guided by Jeffords, enters Cochise's stronghold in the Dragoon Mountains. For 11 days they talk. Cochise is wary. He's been betrayed before. But Howard listens. He doesn't demand. He negotiates. Cochise's terms are clear. Give my people a reservation in our homeland, the Chiricahua Mountains and Dragoon Mountains. Let us live as Apaches. Appoint Tom Jeffords as our agent. He's the only white man I trust. Do this, and the war ends. Howard agrees, not because he's weak, but because he's wise.
The Treaty. October 12, 1872. The treaty is signed. The Chiricahua Apache Reservation is established. 55 million acres of their ancestral homeland. Tom Jeffords becomes the Indian agent, and Cochise keeps his word. The raids stop immediately, completely. After 11 years of war, the fighting ends not with surrender, but with mutual respect. Newspapers call it Cochise's Peace. Historians call it one of the few honorable treaties in American Indian relations. Cochise calls it what should have happened in 1861. The final years. For 2 years, Cochise lives in peace. He's reunited with family. He teaches his sons. He watches his grandchildren grow. He's aging, ill, probably from stomach cancer, but he's home. Tom Jeffords visits often. They sit together, 2 old warriors who became brothers. Cochise tells Jeffords, "When I die, do not tell the white men where I'm buried. Let me rest in the mountains I fought for." Jeffords promises, and he'll keep that promise until his own death. June 8, 1874. In the Dragoon Mountains, surrounded by family, Cochise dies. He's approximately 69 years old. His people mourn. His warriors paint his face for the journey to the afterlife. They dress him in his finest clothing, and then, as Apache tradition demands, they take his body deep into the Dragoon Mountains. They bury him in a secret location, somewhere in a rocky crevice hidden from the world. His favorite horse is killed and placed nearby. His weapons are buried with him, and the location is never revealed. The Broken Promise. 2 years after Cochise's death, the U.S. government breaks the treaty. The reservation is dissolved. His people are forced onto the San Carlos Reservation, a barren, disease-ridden wasteland the Apache call Hell's 40 Acres. Cochise's son, Naichi, and his warriors resist. His other son, Taza, tries cooperation and dies from pneumonia on a government trip to Washington. The cycle of betrayal continues. The peace Cochise died believing in was a lie.
The enduring mystery. To this day, Cochise's burial site remains unknown. Treasure hunters have searched. Archaeologists have theorized. The Dragoon Mountains keep their secret. Some say Jeffords visited the grave until his death in 1914, but never told a soul. Others say Cochise's warriors created false trails to protect their chief. Perhaps it's fitting. Cochise spent his life protecting his land. Now, that land protects him. Cochise's war changed American military doctrine. The U.S. Army studied his guerrilla tactics. They'd use those lessons in future conflicts worldwide. His ability to negotiate from strength, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, proved that military might alone cannot conquer a determined people. He cost the United States an estimated $40 million, over $800 million in today's money, and forced them to negotiate on his terms. No other Native American leader achieved that. The human story. But Cochise's story isn't about tactics and treaties. It's about what happens when honor is betrayed, when a man seeking peace is met with treachery, when family is murdered under flags of truce. Cochise didn't want war. He wanted to live in his homeland, raise his children, and coexist. The war wasn't inevitable. It was created by broken promises and racial hatred. His story asks us, how many conflicts throughout history could have been avoided if honor had been met with honor?
The legacy. Today, Cochise County, Arizona bears his name, 11,000 square miles of the land he fought for. His story inspires books, films, and endless fascination. But his true legacy isn't fame. It's this: one man, armed with courage and principle, can stand against an empire. One leader, fighting for his people, can change the course of history. And one life, lived with unshakable honor, can echo through centuries. Cochise made America tremble, not with terror, but with the power of an unbreakable spirit.
Somewhere in the Dragoon Mountains, beneath ancient rocks and desert sky, Cochise rests. The wind still whispers through the canyons where he rode. The eagles still circle the peaks where he stood watch. The land remembers. And if you listen carefully, in the silence of those mountains, you can still hear the echo of a warrior who refused to surrender his homeland, a father who avenged his family, and a leader who proved that honor is worth fighting for. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe. We dive deep into forgotten heroes and untold stories every week. Drop a comment. What historical figure should we cover next? Share this video with someone who loves real history. And remember, history isn't just about the past, it's about understanding who we are and who we can become. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep seeking the truth.
The legacy, delivery, powerful, building to climax. Today, Cochise County, Arizona bears his name, 11,000 square miles of the land he fought for. His story inspires books, films, and endless fascination. But his true legacy isn't fame. It's this: pause. One man, armed with courage and principle, can stand against an empire. One leader fighting for his people can change the course of history. And one life, lived with unshakable honor, can echo through centuries. Pause, final pause. Cochise made America tremble. Not with terror, but with the power of an unbreakable spirit. Delivery, cinematic, poetic. Somewhere in the Dragoon Mountains, beneath ancient rocks and desert sky, Cochise rests. The wind still whispers through the canyons where he rode. The eagles still circle the peaks where he stood watch. The land remembers. Pause, and if you listen carefully, in the silence of those mountains, you can still hear the echo of a warrior who refused to surrender his homeland, a father who avenged his family, and a leader who proved that honor is worth fighting for. Call to action. Delivery, direct, engaging, friendly. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe. We dive deep into forgotten heroes and untold stories every week. Drop a comment. What historical figure should we cover next? Share this video with someone who loves real history. Pause, and remember, history isn't just about the past. It's about understanding who we are and who we can become. Pause. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep seeking the truth. Fade out with cinematic music.